Yo brahmanam vidadati purvam yo vai vedamshta prahinoti tasmai tamhadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshorvai sharanamaham prapadye. He who at the beginning of the creation projected Brahma, that is the universal consciousness, and who delivered the Vedas unto him, seeking liberation, I go for refuge unto that effulgent one, whose light turns the understanding towards the Atman. Spirituality, the only panacea for the ills of life. Ills of life or problems of life. Anyway, it all comes to that. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we come across Vidura approaching the sage Maitreya and asking a very pertinent question which is relevant for all ages. You know, Vidura was one of the greatest person in his time, and he was humiliated by the villain Duryodhana, and so he left, and he was not present at the time of Kurukshetra war. And later he came to know the vast destruction that had taken place, and pondering about the life, he reached the Maitreya's hermitage and he asks, people do work with a view to getting happiness, but they neither attain happiness nor succeed in ending their sorrows through their actions. On the contrary, they undergo suffering again and again as a result of those actions. Therefore, O worshipful sage, please tell me what is advisable under the circumstance. What do we think? If somebody had asked, we would naturally have thought the person would have asked him to meet some influential persons, people, go through economic policies, political theories. But Maitreya did none of those. Rather, he started giving a long discourse on the glory of the Lord and asked Vidura to worship the Lord. Means, he said, spirituality is the only solution. There is only solution for all the problems is spiritual solution. We know life is full of difficulties, uncertainties, the time which we are going through now, and we are caught in the maze of problems. And people think that the problems of their lives are external. Might be some of them, I don't deny it. And they think by manipulating men and material, they can overcome the problems. But the intelligent ones soon understand that this business of problem solving is a never-ending process. It's a time and energy consuming process. So they naturally ask, is there any solution for the problems of life? Such questions were asked in our scriptures, and Narada, a very great sage, says, there is no such a thing as absolute freedom to the jiva from even one of the threefold miseries. You know, we have the threefold miseries, tapatraya, we say. The one brought by the divine agencies, that is Adidaiva, then Adibhuta, like the coronaviruses, miseries brought by other beings, and finally, miseries from one's own body and mind. So these are the threefold miseries. Not from one of this is there any freedom. And even if there is a remedy in a particular one, it proves to be very temporary. Just like a man carrying a heavy load on the head may shift it on his shoulder. That's all, a temporary relief he might get. But the burden is there. At long last, thoughtful persons conclude that there must be problem beyond this. Such a thought came to Buddha, and had he thought that there was some solution in the world, in a worldly solution, he would have become a king and ruled the kingdom wisely. Instead, he renounced and sat under the tree and meditated, which means he too sought a spiritual solution to the problems of life. Is there a solution to the problems of life then? Spiritual solution? The scriptures of the world, religions, unanimously hold that there is. The life of saints and sages and devotees bear the testimony to this fact that there is. And it is this faith, this is the basis of our spiritual life. And with this faith, we undertake all renunciation, our sadhanas, prayers, meditation, which entails so much of suffering on the individual and the community. With this faith that there is a solution here. And we spiritual aspirants tend to forget this. People do take to spiritual life or religious life, whatever it is, with so many motives. Fear of God, fear of devil, maybe for a relaxation. So naturally, their spiritual practices don't reveal the transforming power in them. But once when we take it up seriously, knowing that this and this alone is going to bring me true peace or is going to solve my solution, then we put all the effort, all what is the powers and strength, what is in us, we invest on it. And success comes. So we should never be partial. We should not keep something reserved. If not this, something else I will try. No, 100% we need to put our faith and effort in it. If spiritual solution is the ultimate solution, why people don't take to it? Why do people don't seek it? As it is everywhere, difficult. It's difficult. See, when confronted with problems, people feel that it is easy to go and talk to someone, run here and there, than to sit and meditate and pray. It needs a lot of energy, strength, courage, the fear of unknown. People think it's better to rely on something what is known, money, matter, people, friends, rather than depending upon some unknown being or diving deep into one's own consciousness. So, though these are flimsy solutions or can't rely on it, still people hold on to it. Another thing is, people are very funny. They know just even to get a degree or to become a PhD holder or a surgeon, how much of effort is needed, time is needed. You enroll the child today in the school, tomorrow it is not going to get a PhD certificate. How many, at least 2.5 decades it has to wait. At least 2. But when it comes to spiritual life, people have no patience. We are not getting any results. We have been praying. Even Narendra said that. Why? I prayed to Mother Kali, nothing happened. So that's how. Because he was still a young man, that's why he did it. But people generally tend to think that spiritual life doesn't need any effort. The moment they pray, God should be there ready to solve their problem. He has to wait on them. But that is not right. That's not the correct attitude, and that's not at all. Even spiritual life entails labor, time, and responsibility. But it's of a totally different type. All we need is to trust and surrender ourselves or dive deep into within ourselves, open ourselves to the higher source through which we can solve our problems. And the third reason is natural cravings, the bhoga vasanas people have. So that doesn't allow them to sit and meditate. Outgoing. So this actually happens. When what actually we mean by problems? Is it scarcity of food, poverty? No doubt they are, but with sweeping economic policies, with good governance, things can be improved. Many countries have solved the problem of hunger and thirst. It can be done. Of course, political, I have no say. It's just, we don't know. Human nature sometimes is too evil. I wanted to avoid the word. But we see the whole planet is suffering from this pandemic. There are races and nations stealing territories. What do we call for this? So this happens. Apart from that, we are not speaking about the problems what we are dealing. It has nothing to do with politics or poverty or hunger. This is something very peculiar to human beings. Only we feel it. And that is called as dukkha. Collectively, it is called as dukkha in Indian religions. Suffering. It does not mean, it doesn't depend upon what we have. It's about what we are. Buddha also spoke of dukkha, by which he meant existential suffering. And we know that it was old age, disease, death that profoundly moved him. Had he seen any poor man, hungry man, he would have stopped the chariot, got some food and fed him, and then he would have gone home and thought of better methods of farming, etc. But no, what moved him was old age, disease, death. Why should it be so? Why should old age, disease, and death move him so profoundly? Because it means change, impermanence. But why should impermanence and change be a problem? People have now accustomed themselves. They don't even heed. But we are not speaking of such people. We are speaking of thinking people. Religion, philosophy, spirituality is for thinking people. Sri Ramakrishna said, religion is not for empty stomach. And religion is not for worldly people. Sri Ramakrishna says the camel eats thorny bush, keeps on eating, its mouth bleeds, but still no. So such people never even think subjectively, never even question. He says, a man is dying and the lamp is burning. He says, we shorten the wick, the oil is being spent a lot. He's dying. So that is the type of, such worldly minds will never question. We are talking about minds which can think with a bit of prompting. The thinking mind will naturally question, and impermanence and change, they strike at the root of the ego. It is with this idea, the desires, ambition, plans, and actions of man are based on the idea of permanence. That is being. I'm going to use a bit of technical terms. I'm helpless, but it will not confuse you. As you keep hearing, you will understand it. I meant being. Impermanence, permanence. People think we are going to, no one has ever constructed a house that he is going to die next day, or no one has ever married and settled and have made a family thinking that death is at the neck of him. No. With this idea, we are going to live. A question was asked to Yudhishthira, what is the wonder of life? He said, every day people are going to the abode of death, Yamaloka, they are going. Still, people living here think that they are not. They are going. The way they manage the things, the way they appropriate things, shows that they are going to settle permanently here. That's how they are organizing their life. That's the greatest wonder. So this idea of permanence is deep rooted. But life implies impermanence too. Non existence, impermanence is an essential part of human existence. But we are generally not aware of it. We don't feel it unless and until someone, our loved ones, are snatched suddenly. If as a person is ailing, still we say, oh, it's better, the person go. No, all of a sudden, everything is fine. Suddenly, out of the blue, the person goes. So at that time, is this real? Is this all? So such questions, existential questions come at that time. So you see, life is a contradiction then. Life implies being, non-being, existence, non-existence, affirmation, negation. And mankind uses two complementary methods in order to resolve this contradiction of life. One is struggle to overcome non-being, asat, non-existence, and the other struggle for asset being. Now let's just quickly see to what is this struggle to overcome non-being. There's a deep-seated fear in all of us. In every creature it is there. Fear of non-being. It doesn't mean just our physical non-existence. It pervades deep into the mind and its product. This is called in Vedanta Maya. According to Vedanta, our nature is pure and good. Evil is its negation. Sorrow is the negation of our blissful nature, the Atman. Humiliation is the negation of human dignity. See, we tend to avoid these things, isn't it? We can't stand humiliation. Why? It's the natural human dignity. Anyone would expect someone to behave with me in a dignified manner. Humiliation is the negation of human dignity. So there's a constant fear of negation, non being in us. Swamiji was a teacher of fearlessness. He says, either in this world or in the world of religion, it is true that fear is the sure cause of degradation and sin. It is fear that brings misery, fear that brings death, fear that brings evil. By fear, Swamiji meant existential fear. And he continues, what's the cause of fear? Ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of our own nature. So the problem of life is rooted in fear. Fear, again, is rooted in ignorance. This ignorance creates a false notion of individuality, the ego. And fear arises from this. The awareness of a separate existence causes fear. The greater the sense of individuality, the greater is the fear of insecurity. And it manifests itself in many ways. The feeling of loneliness. So to overcome non-being, we identify ourselves with family, friends, relatives, clubs, monasteries, community. But these do not touch the core of our being. And we can see, even there are people who feel lonely even in a crowd. So that means to say, just the crowd and socializing will not solve the problem of loneliness. And now we are making a huge cry of social distancing. It doesn't touch our deeper layers of existence, our being. And then there is the fear of anxiety. What is anxiety? It's a general feeling of insecurity, not directed to anything particular. But when it is directed to something, to a particular object or situation or anything, then it becomes worry. When the worry deepens, then we have all these psychosomatic diseases, disorders, it goes. So, this is how we try to avoid the non being, and we do apply means, but it doesn't touch the inner core of a being. So, people try to assert. Let's see how the struggle for asserting the being goes. The struggle to assert non-being is a negative way of dealing with things, but to assert being is a positive way of dealing. So this expresses itself in the pursuit of pleasure, pursuit of power and pursuit of aesthetic higher values, and spiritual aspiration, which in Hinduism we call purusharthas: kama, artha, dharma, moksha. We know, even the psychologist says that beyond certain amount of this speaking about the consumerism, beyond a certain amount of consumption, too much will lead to problems. And we know from the point of the Puranas, we have got the example of Yayati, who enjoyed the youth twice. Full youth he enjoyed, but he found that his desires are not satisfied. So he exchanged his old age with his virtuous son, and the full youth of his he enjoyed, still he found no. Then he made a great declaration that enjoyment can never be satisfied with enjoyment. Desires can never be fulfilled by fulfilling it. It's like a fire which burns. The more you add, you put ghee, it flares up. So it can never be. So that was the great understanding came to him. And the scripture says, no, you need to put somewhere end. Somewhere you need to stop. So, and our wonderful young boy Nachiketa says, keep on enjoying. What will happen? The senses will wither away. They will become it will become weak. Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha. The indriyas will become old, like a hag, enjoying nothing. So that's the pursuit of karma. When we push it beyond the limit, its consequence. So it won't be a fulfillment, it will be a problem. We try to fulfill our life through karma, but that's the result. What about artha? We know how it is. Today we have something, tomorrow we want more. That's how it's an asuri quality. Sri Krishna says, today, this much I got, tomorrow I shall have this more. And I think I'll be happy if I can get that. In the 16th thing you read in the Gita chapter, he says that. So this constant, we know how we are ruining the planet due to our love for power and purse. So this is the result of artha also. And dharma, or the pursuit of higher values, that we can call it as truth, goodness, and beauty, science, and service, serving the community, and all this goodness. You express your goodness, good nature, and art. Swamiji, I think he had said, science, art, and a religion, something he said, are one. But in order to understand, we should have the theory of Advaita. So these are the shadow of the ultimate. But in very few cases, like very great scientists like Einstein, who could think there is something deeper than what we are discovering. So such very few scientists really get a spiritual boost through this, or social service, that broadness comes in very few people. And art, of course, it also doesn't cover up the whole being. So it does give something, but it doesn't bring complete perfection or satisfaction. Then the person will think, oh, there can never be a solution within this ego bound sphere. I need to seek it in a spiritual principle. Then dawns spiritual aspiration. But we need to go through all this. We try. And then when we fail to get something substantial, something really which we can hold on, then we turn to spiritual life. That is how the struggle for asserting the being works. There are many solutions. Worldly remedies are inadequate because the problem of fear, anxiety, unfulfillment, love, hatred, these are really the problems of human experience. And the world outside is just secondary, it's just a nimitta. The problem is within our own consciousness. And as such, the solution also must be found there. There are many schools who have different views. We are not going to go through all that. Straight away, let me take up the Advaita from the point of Advaita Vedanta. According to Advaita Vedanta, being alone is real. Non-being is illusion, Maya, Ajnana. Of course, the other schools of Vedanta, that is Vishishadvaita and Dvaita schools are there. They have a bit slightly different idea about the non-being. But as far as being is concerned, they're unanimous. They all hold the idea that there is one universal, all-pervading, absolute continuum of being, which they call Brahman. Nothing but Brahman exists. And the goal of Vedanta is not just freedom from non-being, freedom from fear, not just freedom from sorrows, but also attainment of happiness. Dukkha nivritti, sukha prapti. Overcome the dukkha and attain bliss. Why? Being, existence is absolute bliss too. Happiness also. And the Upanishads say, Pragnanam Brahma. This is a very important statement. It is one of the Mahavakyas, a greatest statement, a discovery made ages ago. Pragnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. So it's through consciousness we understand being and bliss. It's a link between Sat and Ananda. Chit is the connecting link between these two. So, an infinite, all-pervading consciousness, intelligence, nullifies the concept of non-being. So, the fear of non-being, destruction, negation, all this, which are the main cause of sorrow, and which take away all our energies, nothing left for constructive purpose. Sometimes it goes so much. We are seeing how this non-being, this alone loneliness is creating and havoc in the society. So, but this concept, this Advaitic concept, it eliminates the struggle for fulfillment. Swamiji says, you are not to be perfect. You are perfect already. You are not to be pure. You are pure already. Purity, fulfillment, Is your very nature. It's our true nature. As Atman, we are inseparable from Brahman. We partake of the divinity and perfection. So this provides the solution, not only to our sorrows, for morality too. Once we understand that our nature is pure and purity itself, the Atman is pure, naturally we desist from evil. All the strength we get to pursue spiritual life comes from this idea of the purity of the Atman. It is this which is impelling us. Seek, seek, seek. Seek that is which is pure, that which is blissful, that which will be always permanent. So, no need of so many laws and rules and regulations to check the morality of the people. Through this, it cannot be. Human nature will always remain until and unless we take to something higher or we make an subjective inquiry. Until and unless that societies, through law and order, we can never bring. Momentary or temporary, it might be. But permanent solution will always be a spiritual one. This is the reason why Vedanta offers self-realization as the only solution for the problems of life. You need to transcend the ego. There's no permanent solution in the ego-bound world. So how does this transcendence comes? Just leap over the wall? It isn't that easy. The psychologist Carl Jung makes a very beautiful statement. He says, in the course of his practice, he found that many of them were not benefited by his treatment. But somehow they had raised themselves to a higher level of existence and had overcome their mental problems. So he carefully studied those cases, and he found that these people had not solved the problem at all. They had only overcome it. They had overcome the problems. And he says, yeah, it's not possible. I have learned to say that the greatest and the most important problems of life are fundamentally insoluble. They must be so because they express the necessary polarity inherent in every self-regulating system. They can never be solved but outgrown. Look at the language. It's Vedantic. Polarities of life. Dvandva. Friday we were discussing about Dvandva. How to overcome cold and hunger, heat, hunger and thirst, or sorrow and happiness. These are all the dvandvas. Krishna was telling us. We had a very good discussion about it. But we need to understand that it has to take slowly. Everything has to go slowly. The higher the plane of consciousness we attain, this is the spiritual law. The higher the plane of consciousness we attain, the greater is our knowledge and our power to deal with the situation or the problem. And the significance of an event depends upon the person's level of consciousness. There's a very nice incident, a funny incident sometimes I used to feel, but it isn't funny. It's really beautiful in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. We know he was living in Dakshineshwar and his old mother was staying in Kamarpukur. Later in her extreme old age, she felt that she should live near Ganga and do her spiritual practices. And so she came to Dakshineshwar, and Mathur Babu was very happy to have the mother of Sri Ramakrishna, and she was given a room as a Khoti body where the officers and the the proprietors stay. Mathur and his family, when they used to come to Dakshineshwar, they used to stay there. So She was staying there. And it so happened that Sri Ramakrishna's elder brother, Rameshwar, passed away. And Sri Ramakrishna was really worried how to break this news to this old lady. She had seen a lot of sorrow, suffering in her life. And in this old age, she came here to live peacefully. And here is this news of the death of her son. And Sri Ramakrishna was really panicking how to break this news to her. He had only one refuge. He went to the Divine Mother, prayed to her mother, please make her mind such that she will be able to digest this suffering or problem. And so he went slowly, and slowly he divulged the news that this has happened. And the lady looked pensive for some time and said, well, my child, this is how the world goes. All who are born are going to die. I have done my duty for him. He had been a good child. God bless him. You don't worry, my boy. This is how it. Instead of he consoling the mother was consoling Sri Ramakrishna. What happened? The level of her consciousness was lifted, be it divine agency or self-effort, whatever it is. The thing is, it happened. Where even the death of his son did not affect the old lady. She was in such a plane. So if that can happen, if not so much, but a little bit of raising our consciousness to higher things will certainly save us, help us. That's why Sri Krishna said, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even little practice of this religion will save you from greatest fear. Look at people, how frightened they are. I'm not saying really about death. That is true. Especially, it's really torturing when you cannot have the body of your loved ones also. That's really, I don't deny it. But apart from that, staying at home, trying to be by yourself, social distancing, economy. What's going to happen? This planet of us has gone through a lot. So much of recession we went through. We have worked out. Why worry so much? Can't we manage with this simple thing? We have made the life so complicated. The other day in social media, we saw a little girl crying desperately. I am missing my ice cream. I am missing my McDonald's restaurant. And the parents are so sympathetic. Oh dear, don't worry. I felt like just giving a smack to the girl. Can't the parents tell, look, at least you had so much of ice creams and McDonald's. There are children who haven't even heard of it. You should be fortunate. Be grateful. Be thankful. You need to instill these ideas to the children. This girl could articulate very well her depression or her sorrow. And she says, it's not fair. That means it's my right to enjoy. Nobody can. That's at least this little child. Look at those people saying, we are not going to comply by this social distancing. We want to socialize. What can be there? Murkhata, stupidity. If people do not learn to go a bit inward, put some existential question, take a subjective aspect, think about your subjective aspect, this is what is going to happen. Worst is still to come. Change is we should be ready for change and impermanence. We have to inculcate these ideas into the children in a small way. Adipana Mataji always used to say, always don't pamper the children. Give two and say no for one. Say one, no. Children need to learn. The world will not always pamper them. I need to learn how to accept no, non-being, negative. Things are going to come. Everything is not going to be smooth with us. And if we do not equip ourselves, who is going to come? Who is going to do it? No one can help. No guru can help. Guru can only show you the path. It's we who have to treat. So this is very, very necessary. And now, how are we to go? How are we to transcend? Coming back to our subject. Transcendence, as I told you, it cannot be a leap. It cannot be like climbing this ladder. No, there is a systematic way of doing. Vedanta, our Upanishad says that human personality has been divided or works in 5 layers or in 5 levels. They call it kosha. We can say 5 levels of existence. We have the physical, annamaya, the pranamaya, the vital, the manomaya, the mental level, and then vijnanamaya, intuition, and anandamaya, the bliss. These are the levels of existence. And to every level, in whichever level we are, our attitudes, our thoughts, our feelings, and even our look has its own, imprint, or you can make out in which level of consciousness a person is. So through yoga, we lift. So yoga or sadhana is a discipline. It's just like a water pump, the impeller wheel of a water pump. It lifts the water level deep from the well to the ground level. So yoga lifts the consciousness from higher level to from a lower level to a higher level. This is immediately we'll say, oh, God has to give us this. No, we are, whatever we are speaking in the last few lectures also, talks, I said, we are only dealing within the framework of self-effort. And Advaita Vedanta is more of self-effort than anything else. So through self-effort, man can overcome, man can lift himself. Uddhared atmanatmanam. Shri Krishna said, we have to lift ourselves by our own effort. No one is going to do it. We have to lift. The three, the annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, the physical, the vital, and the mental level. These two constitute the ego, the lower self, ego. The other two is higher self. And the Atman is beyond Panchakosha Vilakshana, we say, beyond the 5 koshas. So in order to go towards that, we need to transcend this 3 and then come to the 4th. And Swamiji, being a preacher of fearlessness, he has condensed his message in a very beautiful verse. He says, it's a very nice verse. I used to by heart whenever I used to feel not good, I would recite it. He says, Kim nama rodhishi sakhe, tvai sarva shaktihi, amantrayasva bhagavan bhagadam swarupam, trailokyameta dakhilam tavapadamole, atmaivahi prabhavate, na jada kadachit. He says, why weepest thou, my friend? In you is all power, O mighty one. Summon up your true self, which is the embodiment of all perfection, and all the 3 worlds will be at your feet. Spirit, not matter. Nandratam, the being alone, non-being is stress these ideas. Now is the period to think in Advaitic lines. Now is the time for us to stand on our strength and show, no, yes, spiritually inclined people can go through this. And of course, Vedanta is not just impersonal and Advaita. There is theistic also. The impersonal reality is also a personal reality, personal God in Vedanta. We call him Purushottama, the supreme deity who dwells in all of us as the Antaryamin. We can easily open ourselves to his grace through prayer. And God will certainly, he is not just a spectator seeing what's happening. He is within all of us. It is he who is going through in one way. So he certainly will give a helping hand, provided we seek only him. Shri Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto mam. ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. They who are without thinking anything else other than only one, ananya means not relying on anything else. We fix our priorities and we adhere to it. Come what may, I will stick to this. I will not take my begging bowl to everyone. I will go only to God. If God is the only, like this parable, the Sufi saint went to Akbar, invited him, come to our place. So he thought, okay, let me go here. The king has said, and he came. He had asked him to accept some gift. So he came there. And he saw Akbar praying, oh Allah, give me wealth, give me power. And the Sufi saint started going. And Akbar quickly finished his namaz and he came. Why did you? No, sorry, said doesn't matter. You don't have to listen to why I came. It's okay. No, you please tell me why did you come? I thought you had asked me the other day to come and accept some gift. I thought I'll come and take something from you, some help, because a lot of people come there. I could give them something. I thought I came. And I find you yourselves are a beggar. So what's the point of begging from a beggar? So it is like that. We want bliss, we want fulfillment, we go to this, that's what I mean by begging ball. We go to this, we put this, we make this type program, we make this plan, nothing will. Let's go to the source as much as we can and draw all our strength and sustenance from that ocean of power. Thank you.
Thanks for attending the talk via YouTube and some of you in person today. This week we have the yoga class on Thursday morning from 10 a.m. That's recommenced after our school holidays here. This coming Friday night we'll have the fortnightly spiritual evening discussion from 7 p.m. with meditation, and then from 7:30 discussion, and you're welcome to join us in person or via Zoom for that. Next Sunday, we'll have the monthly talk on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that will be given by Pravrajika Sridharaprana. We will also broadcast that live on YouTube. And now we'll conclude with listening to a guided meditation by revered Pravrajika Sridharaprana Mataji. And you'll give me a moment, I need to do a bit of rigging up the microphones here to pick up the sound.
I bow down to God, the destroyer of all the miseries in this world, the giver of liberation, purity, and joy, who is the Supreme Lord, immutable and all-pervasive, beyond the manifest and the unmanifest, free from being many, ever blissful, ever gracious, ever pure, without attributes, stainless, limitless like the sky, whom the wise meditate upon in samadhi. In him who is absolute truth, wisdom, and blessedness, we live, we move, and we breathe. In him we have the center of our being, the center of our consciousness. When we contemplate on the Great Spirit as the self residing in all beings, We then realize our unity with all things and all creatures in this universe. Everyone is mine own. No one is a stranger or enemy. The universe is our own dwelling house. The whole of creation is our immediate family. It's my own self which is residing in every being. It's my heart that pulsates within every form. It's my understanding that guides and controls every life. When we contemplate on this oneness of ours with the entire creation, there is no place for fear in us. No one fears us. We fear no one. Inside and outside, we find only peace. Only peace. Let us repeat in our heart again and again. When I read this, you please repeat after me silently. I love every being. I am one with all. My soul dwells in each body. In the soul of all souls, I am one with every being in this universe. Now imagine that rays of love and peace are emerging out of your heart. Beautiful golden orange rays of love and peace, imagine, are coming out of your heart and spreading in all directions, gliding into every place, above, below, in front, back. Imagine another beam of light and love traveling from you, engulfing all the regions to your right. Imagine a flood of life energy coming out of your back and enveloping all the regions up to infinity behind you. Imagine a beam of love and joy emerging out of you and rushing to envelop all the regions to your left. Now, the regions above you and below, front and back, are being flooded and embraced by the onrush of waves of life and energy and love gushing out of you. Your body remains suspended in an ocean of light, in an ocean of energy and love. And inside you, in your heart, is absolute rest, silence, and peace. In the center of your heart, when you look closely, you can see a wonderful glow of golden orange luster. From where? All these rays of love and out. Feel that all around you is the ocean of light and power. Your body is like a transparent pot suspended therein. And in the center of your body, inside your heart, is the beautiful glow of consciousness, which is still silent, powerful, quiet. Let us try to hold ourselves in this state of equilibrium with silence and quiet within, and an ocean of energy all around us. Hari Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.